Shannon Blessing. I live in Mesa, Arizona. I'm originally from Littleton, Colorado. I've been following Taylor on Instagram for quite a while, and when you guys started Balance Athletica, the company just really resonated with me and where I was at in my life at the time. A little backstory on me and why I want to be a balance leader. I grew up playing competitive ice hockey and lacrosse, and so fitness was always pretty easy for me. I just went to my sports and I stayed in good shape. And so when high school ended and sports ended, I think that's where my fitness journey really started. I had to figure out how to balance fitness and my mental health and being in school, and I did a really bad job at it. I was really focused on the number on the scale and the size clothes that I fit into, and I really found my worth in my body, like I think a lot of women do. And when I was 22, I married the man of my dreams, and when I was 23, so just a year later, we found out we were expecting our first child. And I just remember when I found out that I was pregnant, the very first thought that I had was about my body changing and about how hard that was going to be mentally. And it makes me so sad looking back now because I had always wanted to be a mom. I couldn't wait to be a mom. And to think that I thought so negatively about my body that was about to create this life, it just really breaks my heart. But about 4 months later at my anatomy scan, the ultrasound tech noticed something that looked a little abnormal on the ultrasound. So they sent us to a specialist, but our OB assured us that there's probably nothing wrong. They just wanted to be sure. So we went to the specialist, and at our first appointment, he said our baby was perfect. He was healthy. There's absolutely nothing to worry about, but to come back in 4 weeks just to do a follow-up. So I went back by myself in 4 weeks to do this follow-up, and they did the scan, and then he pulled me into his office, and he said, "I'm so sorry, Shannon. I was completely wrong. The baby is actually really sick. He has a fatal genetic disorder, and he probably won't make it through the pregnancy. And if he does, he won't survive the first year of life." And I just remember sitting there trying to take in what he was telling me and trying to wrap my head around that. And I was by myself because we thought everything was fine. And he said, "There's options." And I said, "I don't need to hear options. I'm going to carry my baby to term, no matter how painful that is going to be." And so I carried my sweet Gabriel until I was 36 weeks pregnant. I went in and they confirmed that he no longer had a heartbeat. And so I went to the hospital that day, and he was delivered sleeping 2 days later. And obviously, something like that, it totally just rocked my world. It flipped my world upside down. And I really had to relearn a lot of things. I had to relearn how to trust God. I had to relearn how to find balance in the midst of my grief and pain, how to even really function again, how to go back to life without my baby. And I had to relearn fitness because now I was 50 pounds heavier, and I was embarrassed because I didn't have a baby to show for the weight gain. And finding balance in that season of my life was really, really hard, and I did a really bad job at it. I was so focused on losing the baby weight that I completely neglected my mental health for the first 6 months. By 6 months, I had lost the weight, but I had fallen into a really deep and dark depression, and it took me quite a while to really break that wall down and to get out of that hole. And so about a year and a half later, I knew I needed to do something. I needed to find that balance again because I wasn't in a good place. And so I just really started focusing on my relationship with God because I knew that would help other things fall into place. And so about a year and a half, 2 years later, I feel like I really started living a balanced lifestyle again. And a couple months after that, we found out we were pregnant after trying for 2 years with our rainbow baby, and he was just born 6 weeks ago. And so now I'm relearning how to find balance in my life with an infant. I'm learning how to find balance in the midst of the joy of having this new baby and still dealing with that grief and pain of the baby that we lost. So after we lost Gabriel, I started an online women's clothing boutique. I donate a portion of every sale to a family that has also had a stillborn baby to help them with their funeral and medical expenses, because no family should ever have to mourn their child's loss or their child's death and be paying medical bills for the child they don't have anymore. And I've been really open on social media about my journey, and I try to inspire people that God has a plan and is at work through the midst of their pain and heartache. I say all of that and I tell you that story to just tell you I want to be a balance leader, because I think that there is this entire community of women who have carried their baby to term, endured the pain of childbirth, and had to hold their lifeless babies in their arms just to go home empty-handed and have to relearn how to live life without that child. And I want to be a voice for that community, a voice that tells them they don't have to lose the baby weight right away. They're not defined by that. A voice that reassures them that they're wanted, that their grief is real, that their baby wasn't just some cells. It was, in fact, a piece of them that they had to say hello and goodbye to on the same day. A voice that tells them they're loved, a voice that lifts them up during their darkest hour, and a voice that points them to God, their comforter and healer. There's such a negative stigma around child loss, and I want to change that. I believe that my desire to influence women is everything that Balance Athletica encompasses and stands for, and I'm just really grateful for your company. I won't go into detail on this, but another community that has a really special place in my heart is those suffering from invisible illness. I was misdiagnosed in high school with rheumatoid arthritis and later on diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease. My goal in life is not to make a name for myself, but to make a name for the Lord. So even through the pain of losing Gabriel and the daily pain of Lyme disease, I'll continue to worship and praise him through the pain and help other people through the pain that I've walked through. I don't believe that God allows pain without a purpose. I think we're called to use the pain to glorify him and to help other people along the way.